be a trade, and this one would be pretty insane. So basically, the Patriots have said they're willing to trade Stephon Gilmore, and teams are aware that he's on the trade market. He's 31, coming off a big injury. He won Defense Player of the Year in 2019. Bump and run Gilmore is his name, so you can tell by that he's playing man coverage mainly, which is what we do a lot of. And the asking price is a first-round pick. He has one more year on his contract. He's getting paid $7 million next season, and then he wants a big contract. So Nick, do you think the Packers should trade for Stephon Gilmore? And if so, would you be willing to give up a first-rounder, or what would you be willing to trade?
All right. So we've talked about in the past, we have Jair Alexander, one of the best corners in the league. He was second-team All-Pro. He could have been first-team All-Pro. Very, very good cornerback, but he needs some help on the other side of the field. The defense just needs help stopping the pass. That is a threat that the Packers cannot handle in the playoffs right now. And Stephon Gilmore, obviously, probably the best, definitely a top three, probably the best cornerback in the NFL, definitely the best in the AFC. And yeah, he'd be a very, very good addition for the Green Bay Packers. Now, the asking price of a first-round pick for a cornerback, that's pretty interesting. I don't know very many quarterbacks that have been traded for a first-round pick in the past. But I think the Packers should think about it. And if not a first-rounder, second.
Okay, so here's something that's interesting is right before his rookie deal ended, Jalen Ramsey, entering his prime, got traded for 2 firsts from the Jags to the Rams. And that's kind of been the last big trade in the cornerback realm that we've seen, right?
Yeah.
The only issue that I think we should do it. The first rounder would be interesting. If we had to trade a first this year, I still think I would do it. I mean, it would signal we're going all in. We know that Rodgers' career is he's getting up there in age. We don't know how much longer his arm's going to be good. But if you use a first rounder on Gilmore, you're not going to get much. You're not going to get anyone better than him in the draft at that position. That's one.
And you brought up Jalen Ramsey, and so I remember when he was on the Jaguars, he had AJ Bouye on the other side of the field, and that was a very good duo. AJ Bouye actually allowed 0 touchdowns in that last season that they were together because AJ Bouye could have been a corner one. So if Alexander and Gilmore were on the same team, I could see one of them allowing 0 touchdowns because they can both are very capable of holding a wide receiver 1 to 0 touchdowns. They're most likely going to hold a wide receiver 2 or less touchdowns the whole season. So maybe a first round is worth it. And yeah, that's the win now mentality that we're looking for.
Yeah. But the only issue with this that I could see is he is going to turn 31. So he's up there in age. We would have to pay him handsomely. And one thing with our roster construction, we'll get to this later, but we have a lot of money invested in the top people. And if we bring on another person that we have to pay, that leaves Rodgers, Zadarius Smith, Devontae Adams, Jair, and Stephon Gilmore. Those guys would all be making top 5 money at their positions. And that's typically in the NFL not the best way to build your team. I think you can look at the Cowboys for that right now, and all their money, 80% of their money is invested in the top 6 or 7 guys. And at least for us, our guys perform at that level. For them, not necessarily. But yeah, typically the NFL is not about, getting the best of the best and just paying them. You got to find cheap guys, and the first round's the best to do that. So that would be the only issue with mine is if we did trade a first, we're getting older, which, yeah, that'd be win now, but it just depends on their timeline with Rodgers. And do they want to do that and go more win now and start trading for him? Or maybe they trade a second and they just use him as a 1-year rental, and then he goes and gets paid somewhere else, and we get a third round compensatory pick. But that's a question they got to ask. So you don't want to trade a first. Would you trade a second this year, or second and mid-round picks, a second and a player?
I'd trade a second this year and then maybe a second the following year or a third the following year. So give them 2 picks, 1 from this year, 1 from next year, because we still do need help right now for our team. We were 2 games away from being Super Bowl champions. You said the Cowboys, they pay their top players a lot of money, but they're not 2 games away. We're 2 games away. If we can go out and if we pay the players we have now a lot of money and we just have what we've had around them and just one or two more big additions, top players at their position, top 5 players, then we're ready to win the Super Bowl right now this season.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not much time left with Aaron Rodgers. We got to get it done now. So, yeah, we can give up 2 picks.
Yeah. I mean, I'd be fine. I could convince myself to enjoy trading a first knowing that Stephon Gilmore is going to be opposite Alexander. And then here's the other thing is that would basically say they're not signing King. Now, there hasn't been too much in the media, I feel like, about Kevin King. Contract situation, at least. We know Chandon Sullivan's probably back. He's our nickel, but that could still be an area of upgrade. So yeah, it's like they have to do something at cornerback, and he would be the best possible option, possibly in the whole league, like we've mentioned. So being able to get him would be insane. But yeah, his cap hit's not crazy next year. I think the main issue is he did get injured too. At the very end, I think it was a partially torn quad or something with his quad that kept him out the last few games. So again, he will be turning 31. So age is important to look at when you're thinking of Stephon Gilmore. Do you have any more thoughts on this?
Yeah, I want to go back. You said Kevin King. Not a lot of people are talking about him for the Packers, but I want to say they're also not talking about him going to any team really right now. Like he's not being talked about at all. And I think that's a good thing for the Packers because that means we could sign him for cheap later. So if we go out and try to get one of these big free agents and we don't succeed, Kevin King will probably still be there for us. And we can just – I mean, Packers fans don't really like him right now because he's kind of how we lost the NFC Championship. A lot of people are saying he allowed a few touchdowns. But if we're getting him for cheap, he's not terrible. He was playing injured. He'll be healthy. And when he's healthy, he's a good, solid cornerback too.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, if they keep the first and then just say, all right, we're going to bring you back for like 2 years, Kevin King. Maybe there's not a lot of guarantees just because of his injury concerns. And he has left a sour taste in pretty much everyone's mouth who watched him play his last game. But yeah, as a cornerback too, like, you can't really complain too much. Like, he definitely has his ups and he has his downs, but I'd say it's better than what we've had in the past. And he's not going to be the worst starter on our defense, basically, at the end of the day. And that's important.